Deep in the black waters of the Florida Everglades, a ghost is broadcasting its final coordinates. Through the heavy, mosquito-choked air of twilight, a high-frequency receiver cuts the silence with a steady, cold beep. Biologist Tyler Vance stands chest-deep in the swamp, adjusting his headphones as his tracking antenna points straight down into the dark muck. This is the exact location of Python 19, a massive 11-foot Burmese python. But as Tyler parts the sharp sawgrass, there is nothing there. No thrashing, no blood, no shed skin. An apex predator, capable of crushing a deer, has vanished without a trace. Yet its radio transmitter is still screaming from the depths. Something in this swamp just swallowed the nightmare whole. This isn't just a mystery, it's the beginning of a silent revolution. If you want to uncover what's really happening in the shadows of America's wildest frontier, hit that subscribe button right now and join us as we dive into the dark. Welcome to the day the swamp finally fought back. To understand how an 11-foot monster vanishes into thin air, we have to go back to where this ecological nightmare actually started. If you look at old, grainy home videos from the 1980s, you will see a completely different Florida. Back then, Miami was booming, and local pet shops were filled with exotic animals. People fell in love with Burmese pythons when they were just tiny, cute, brightly colored hatchlings no longer than a pencil. They bought them, kept them in glass tanks in their living rooms, and treated them like quirky family pets. But a baby python does not stay small for long. Within a couple of years, these docile little creatures turn into 15-foot muscular giants that can easily overpower a dog, or worse, a child. Panicked owners, realizing they were completely out of their depth, began quietly releasing them into the wild, thinking they were doing the animals a favor. But the real catalyst, the moment the match was thrown into the powder keg, came in August of 1992. Hurricane Andrew, a devastating Category 5 monster, slammed directly into South Florida, with winds screaming at over 160 miles per hour. The storm absolutely leveled several exotic wildlife breeding facilities on the edge of the Everglades. In a matter of hours, hundreds of adult Burmese pythons were violently swept out of their shattered enclosures and scattered directly into the endless wet wilderness. Now, back in their native home of Southeast Asia, these snakes have to fight for survival. They are constantly hunted by tigers, leopards, and massive saltwater crocodiles. Their eggs are regularly dug up and eaten by monitor lizards. There is a harsh, natural system of checks and balances that keeps their population in perfect harmony. But when they landed in the Florida Everglades, they realized they had just stepped into an absolute paradise. The warm, humid climate was a perfect mirror of their homeland, but with one massive, terrifying difference. There were absolutely no natural predators to keep them in check. At the same time, evolutionary biology had already equipped these creatures with the ultimate survival toolkit. They are, quite literally, the perfect biological weapons. A Burmese python can slow its metabolism down to a crawl, allowing it to go months without a single bite of food. When they do decide to reproduce, a single female can lay up to 100 eggs in a single clutch. They also possess an incredibly efficient digestive system, capable of completely dissolving bones, hooves, and fur in a matter of days. And so, they began to hunt. Because the native wildlife of Florida had never seen a giant constrictor before, they had zero evolutionary fear of them. Animals like raccoons and opossums would walk right up to a hidden python, completely unaware of the danger until it was already too late. The resulting devastation has been nothing short of an ecological apocalypse, happening quietly right under our noses. If you look at the scientific data collected over the last 3 decades, the numbers are absolutely heartbreaking. In the areas where pythons have established their stronghold, the raccoon population has plummeted by an unbelievable 99.3%. The cute, mischievous opossums that once filled the trees have seen their numbers drop by 98.9%. And the native marsh rabbits, once so common you could not walk a mile without seeing one, have been almost completely wiped off the map. We used to believe that nature was endless, that the Everglades were too vast and resilient to ever be broken by human carelessness. We thought our mistakes would eventually just fade away, washed clean by the tides of time. But Hurricane Andrew did not just break cages, it opened a modern-day Pandora's box. In just 30 short years, the natural soundtrack of this beautiful wetland has been systematically silenced. The playful rustle of raccoons in the brush is gone. The gentle hopping of marsh rabbits has ceased. One of the most vibrant, biologically diverse places on Earth is now falling into a cold, terrifying silence, all under the ruthless reign of a camouflaged ghost. Before we continue deeper into this mystery, where are you watching this video from? Please tell us your country or city in the comments and let's explore together. To understand how these creatures manage to execute such a quiet, total takeover, you have to look closely at their physical design. These snakes are not just big, they are biological masterpieces of stealth. If you were walking through the tall sawgrass of the Everglades right now, you could be standing less than 2 feet away from a 15-foot Burmese python and your eyes would completely miss it. Their skin is patterned with a gorgeous, dark brown puzzle design that mimics the shadows of the brush and the decayed leaves on the muddy floor perfectly. They do not have eyelids, so their unblinking, cold stare never gives away their position. But while you are completely blind to them, they see you with absolute, terrifying clarity. Along their upper lip, they possess a row of specialized, highly sensitive, heat-sensing pits. These pits allow them to detect infinitesimal changes in temperature, essentially creating a vivid infrared map of their surroundings. To a python, the pitch-black darkness of a swamp night is as bright as day, lit up by the glowing heat signatures of sleeping birds, small mammals, and target prey. They do not even need light to strike with deadly pinpoint accuracy. They simply wait in the dark, motionless, registering the warmth of life nearby until it is time to strike. This supreme confidence in their hunting ability eventually turned into a kind of primal, unchecked arrogance. When you have no natural enemies to teach you fear, your appetite knows no boundaries. This wild greed was captured in a photograph that shocked the entire scientific community back in 2005. In a remote corner of the park, researchers stumbled upon a grotesque scene. A 13-foot Burmese python had attempted to swallow a live, 6-foot American alligator whole. The alligator, fighting for its life inside the tight, suffocating dark of the snake, apparently fought back with everything it had. The pressure was too immense, and the python's stomach literally ruptured, bursting wide open. The photo showed the tail of the dead alligator protruding directly out of the middle of the bloated, torn body of the dead snake. It was a stark, almost poetic symbol of the endless destruction these invaders bring to the ecosystem. They are driven by an insatiable hunger that does not care about consequences, limits, or even its own survival. It proved to everyone that these snakes do not just hunt out of necessity, they hunt with a terrifying, mindless ambition to consume everything in their path, no matter how dangerous. But if you think that gruesome incident was a sign that nature would eventually solve the problem on its own, you would be mistaken. The snakes are actually doubling down. Over the last several years, biologists conducting genetic testing on hundreds of captured pythons discovered a deeply concerning twist in the story. These are no longer just Burmese pythons. In the deep, isolated reaches of the swamps, the Burmese pythons have been breeding with Indian rock pythons. In their native Asia, these two species are separated by geography and behavior. But in the crowded pressure cooker of the Everglades, they found each other and created something entirely new. This hybridization is a massive game changer. Indian rock pythons are slightly smaller but significantly more aggressive, and they prefer drier, upland habitats. Burmese pythons are massive water lovers. When you mix their genes, you get a highly adaptable hybrid. This new generation of super predators carries what scientists call hybrid vigor. They are tougher, they grow faster, and they are much more resilient to environmental stress. The hybrid genes allow them to utilize both the wet marshes and the dry pinelands with equal ease. This means they can expand their territory much faster and survive in areas that would have been too dry or too cold for a purebred Burmese python. Our current computer models and prediction maps of how far these snakes can spread are being completely thrown out the window because we are no longer dealing with the same animal that escaped from pet stores decades ago. We are dealing with a brand new, rapidly evolving biological force that is rewriting the rules of survival in real time. It is as if the swamp has given them a new suit of armor, making them nearly invincible against our best efforts to stop them. But just when it seems like the invaders have won, the swamp does something extraordinary. It fights back. To understand how, we have to return to the mystery of Python 19, that 11-foot male that vanished without leaving a single drop of blood or a trace of struggle in the mud. When Tyler Vance and his team finally pinpointed the screaming radio signal, they did not find a giant python. Instead, they found a native cottonmouth snake, a venomous pit viper that was barely a fraction of the python's size. The cottonmouth was bloated, resting heavily in the grass. Confused, the researchers took the viper back to the lab and ran it through an X-ray machine. What they saw on the screen was absolutely mind-blowing. Inside the cottonmouth's stomach was the intact radio transmitter, sitting right alongside the digested remains of Python 19. This native snake had tracked down, killed, and swallowed the young invasive python whole before it could grow into an unstoppable monster. It was a stunning revelation. It proved that the local wildlife is not just sitting by and waiting to be consumed. The ecosystem is actively learning, adapting, and fighting back in real time. And the brave little cottonmouth is not the only local hero standing its ground. Deep in the pine rocklands, automated trail cameras recently captured something never before recorded in Florida history. A native bobcat, weighing maybe 30 pounds, stumbled upon a massive python nest containing dozens of eggs. In the past, mammals would run away from the scent of a giant snake, but this bobcat did not flinch. It boldly claimed the nest, using its sharp claws to tear open the leathery python eggs and eating them one by one. Over the course of several days, the bobcat returned to the nest, defending it and systematically destroying the next generation of invaders. Meanwhile, out in the deeper waters, the true kings of the Everglades are reclaiming their crown. For years, young American alligators fell victim to large pythons, but the tables are turning. Giant gators, some measuring over 10 feet long, have cracked the code on how to hunt these foreign snakes. Drone footage now captures epic, prehistoric battles where an alligator violently thrashes a 12-foot python through the air, crushing its spine with thousands of pounds of bite pressure before dragging it under. The local alligators have realized that these slow-moving constrictors are not a threat to be feared, but a massive, protein-rich buffet. Even the sky has joined the resistance. Black vultures, the cleanup crew of the swamp, have been spotted watching python nests from the cypress branches. The moment a female python leaves her nest to drink or thermoregulate, these highly intelligent birds swoop down, tearing the unprotected eggs apart. All of this tells us something incredibly profound about the natural world. Evolution does not always require millions of years of slow development. When a system is pushed to the absolute brink, the pressure forces a rapid generational shift. The native species of the Everglades are rewriting their own survival instincts, learning to recognize, hunt, and destroy the invaders. It is a slow, brutal process, but the swamp is refusing to surrender. Seeing these native animals step up and defend their home is truly inspiring, and it makes you wonder about the raw power of nature. Which of these native swamp warriors do you think has the best chance of ultimately stopping the python invasion? Is it the fearless bobcats raiding the nests? the heavy-hitting alligators, or the patient venomous vipers? Let us know what you think in the comments below. While the wild creatures of the swamp are busy mounting their own grassroots defense, humans have launched a high-tech, boots-on-the-ground war of our own. But if you think this is a highly organized, sterile military operation, you have never spent a night in the real Everglades. The reality of python hunting is incredibly grueling, filthy, and flat-out dangerous. When the sun goes down, a dedicated army of state-contracted hunters and passionate volunteer trackers step right into the belly of the beast. They wade through waist-deep, pitch-black water, waving heavy flashlights through the thick humidity. They have to push past clouds of bloodthirsty mosquitoes, dodge aggressive leeches, and watch every single step to avoid stepping on a defensive eastern diamondback rattlesnake or a grumpy cottonmouth. It is a slow, exhausting test of mental and physical endurance, where a single moment of distraction can lead to a serious injury. To tip the scales in our favor, scientists have had to get incredibly creative, turning to cutting-edge technology and biological warfare. One of our most effective, albeit sneaky, weapons is the Judas snake program. Biologists capture large male pythons, surgically implant them with radio transmitters and GPS chips, and then release them right back into the wild. During the breeding season, these males do exactly what nature dictates. They seek out the largest, most fertile females. By tracking these Judas snakes on their computer screens, hunters are led directly to massive breeding balls hidden deep in the sawgrass. This allows them to capture the giant egg-bearing females before they can release up to 100 new hatchlings into the ecosystem. In a very literal sense, we are exploiting the python's own biological drives, turning these male snakes into involuntary traitors against their own kind. Alongside the Judas snakes, engineers are testing wild new gadgets like robotic prey. They have built lifelike, battery-powered Robo-Rabbits that mimic the exact thermal heat signature and subtle movements of real marsh rabbits. These decoys are designed to lure hungry pythons out of inaccessible limestone caves and deep underground burrows, bringing them right into the open where hunters can safely remove them. But despite all of this incredible technology, all of our sweat, and all of our late-night courage, we are facing some incredibly bitter, heartbreaking math. Since the year 2000, when state agencies began keeping official records, humans have successfully captured and removed over 23,500 Burmese pythons from the Everglades. On paper, that sounds like a massive victory, but the United States Geological Survey recently dropped a devastating truth bomb on the entire operation. According to their best scientific estimates, those 23,000 removed snakes represent less than 5% of the total python population currently breeding in the wild. The remaining 95% are thriving, hidden away in millions of acres of completely inaccessible, untamable wetlands where no human foot can ever tread. Every time a hunter pulls a 15-foot snake out of the grass, there are likely 20 more nearby that remain completely invisible. It is a sobering realization that makes you stop and catch your breath. 23,500 snakes is just a tiny drop in a vast green ocean of grass. This has stopped being a simple story of wildlife management or a routine conservation project. It has transformed into a brutal, epic test of endurance between the relentless willpower of humanity and the raw, unstoppable, and infinitely adaptive force of Mother Nature. At the end of the day, the Everglades is holding up a mirror. These pythons are filled with mercury, literally carrying the chemical pollution we dumped into their water. It teaches us a powerful life lesson. Our mistakes always find a way back to us. Yet, the swamp shows that healing is always possible, even if it is slow and painful. While native warriors rise to fight, a new generation of invaders is hatching in the dark. Can we win this? Or must we accept this new world? Tell us what you think in the comments, and subscribe to join our journey. See you in the next video.